All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us again. Today we have Charles from Platinum Business Partners over in the UK, and they're a great organization. They not only help learn to sell and get online, they also advise them in terms what products they should sell and what they think is going to be profitable. So, Charles, if you can, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, CJ. My name is Charles Millar, and I'm from Platinum Business Partners. And as CJ was saying, we're an organization that tries to educate people, but we have a little bit of a different slant to it. So we're actually a franchise model. So what we do is we engage our partners for a long term. So 5 years typically is what we're looking to do. So we're not just wanting to teach people or run a training course teaching people how to sell on Amazon or e-commerce products. What we want to do is actually be there with our partners through a journey, really, to support them all the way. And as I say, it's a 5-year partnership, and it's for us, we think it's the best way of really helping people getting established with an e-commerce business selling online.
I'd say the Platinum Business Partners runs things called Momentum Days. And I spoke there in the UK about a year or so ago. And what struck me, which was great, was that it's not a flash in the pants. It's not like we get you online, take your money and run away. The 5-year long-term plan is great for sellers because it gets them on and it onboards and also stays with them through the problems that all new sellers have. Could you describe how Platinum Business Partners ended up helping online sellers? I know there's a history, but our listeners probably don't know.
Yeah, so it was really the kind of brainchild of Steve Bolton, who's been running franchise businesses for over 10 years now, and he's very successfully run this type of model for people wanting to invest in a property business or a real estate business. And he basically saw, he saw the fact that obviously e-commerce is a huge market, it's a growing market, and it's an area that a lot of people are wanting to try and get into. But again, he was concerned really about the lack of ongoing support. And you were saying, you came over and spoke at one of our Momentum Days, and that's just one area that we've put in place. So we have quarterly Momentum Days for all our partners where we all get together and can really kind of discuss the latest and greatest that's going on at the moment. But so it was really wanting to kind of bring the benefits of the long-term support into the kind of e-commerce training arena, and that was kind of the history behind it.
Let's talk about a bit what benefits you have to UK sellers and the latest issues for people selling in the UK, and also the latest issues that your sellers in the UK are having selling in the US.
Yeah, so this is, again, it comes down to the power of the network. I think this is something which I can't really emphasize enough, is that having a group of like-minded people that are all supporting each other and all helping each other through the challenges. Because, any of you guys out there that have run e-commerce businesses or are running e-commerce businesses will know that, you will come across challenges along the way, and you will have issues really at every step of the process. And one of the things we've tried to do is for the first kind of 6 months of the 5-year process, we have a really intensive training session, and we go into kind of every detail. CJ, you mentioned it earlier. We help people with kind of product selection, getting set up on Amazon, right the way through to the kind of marketing and things like that. Now, one of the things we try and do is, again, as a community, we're trying to build and get access to experts like yourself who have specialist knowledge in certain areas. And I guess one of the challenges that we all face really as sellers is making sure that we keep our account clean and making sure that we're not running into the products we're selling. And all the rule changes. I mean, we had the review the rules around reviews changed a little while back, and that causes all kinds of confusion. What you can do, what you can't do, and again, it's the power of the network being able to call on specialists to be able to help and really share the experience. Because hopefully, if we talk about kind of account suspension as a classic example, we hope that no one's actually going to get their account suspended. And until that happens, you don't have personal experience of it. But if you're in a community where, you only need one person to go through that unfortunate situation and everyone can learn from it. And as I say, being able to have an opportunity to be on the call with you today, TJ, it's quite nice because I can hopefully, share some of the experience and challenges that our community are having, and tap into your knowledge and help people avoid that potential problem.
Well, I think it's great because I like to hold these webinars where we give sellers information and we educate them and we tell them how to help themselves. One of the things I like about your group is that you do have the ongoing support and you have the community of people that really help each other. I go to Amazon events all over the world, and you always are learning from the speakers, but a lot of times them sellers themselves are very, very secretive and they don't really want to share. So if you're a seller who's looking for a community relationship, this is a great place to go, or at least a great place to evaluate. Okay, in terms of keeping accounts clean, we also find, after doing thousands of plans of action, that the UK is one of the, or not the, they are the most frustrating platform to deal with. It's harder than Japan, worse than Germany. I don't know why English speaking you would think it'd make it easier, but it's not. What's your experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess being based in the UK, you would have assumed that dealing with Amazon UK would be the easiest approach. But to be honest with you, we find them, from my experience, I find actually dealing with Amazon.com and selling in the US actually is an easier process, which doesn't make a great deal of sense. But hey, this is Amazon at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, we are. We generally recommend people start in the US actually when they start selling, just because even being based in the UK, it's one of the great advantages of the business. Obviously, is you can really sell anywhere around the world. But I mean, my experience of the UK is that it tends to be a little bit more involved. There's more steps to kind of making sure that even just the simplest things are kind of put in place. Just getting products up and running doesn't seem quite as straightforward in the US. Now, it might be a case of, from my experience, that obviously Amazon.com is the biggest marketplace, and it normally takes a few months for changes and for policies and for procedures from .com to filter down to .uk and then ultimately onto Europe. So again, going back to, we're talking about the community, this is where actually having a group of people, and I'm really pleased you mentioned it, because I think I've experienced this in the past as well, where people can be a little bit secretive. They kind of basically would just want to keep their business. We're all trying to achieve the same thing, but people want to kind of keep their business to themselves. But one of the things that always amazes me, and you've experienced one of the momentum days, CJ, is that everyone is willing to share. Everyone is willing to learn. And even guys that are selling similar products or even the same product will help each other to sell better. And I think there's a lot of power there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's great that when you have a long-term relationship, it fosters that. It fosters sellers helping each other out. Also, I've heard this before and I've experienced it. When there's an issue with Amazon that's spread out among hundreds or thousands of different sellers, Amazon listens. And it's almost like a lobbying group where if everyone's having that same issue, you can address it to Amazon and trying to get change. We've seen the agreement change. We've seen the business solutions agreement change. We've seen some issues when it comes to invoices change a bit. So I think the group is really great. What what are the issues that you're seeing right now for the sellers at the beginning stages who are just starting to sell in the U.S.?
So I think probably the biggest challenge we're having actually is making sure people get quality products. Because I think ultimately,
Hey, if anyone, you are frozen to me. I hope to our viewers it's not frozen. I'm going to yell to our tech guy and see what's going on online. Hey, Sean?
Yes.
On my screen, it's frozen. Can you take a look, please?
Yes.
All right, folks. I see we have nine viewers live right now, and this will stay on Facebook Live for the next couple of weeks. But those of you who are all live, if you want to send a message or a question, you can just post it. Okay, we seem to have lost Charles, and I hope he comes back. But let me address a couple of things while we're waiting to resolve our technical issues. First of all, with the Super Bowl coming up, I don't know if it's going to happen again this year, but last year in these 2 weeks between the playoffs and the Super Bowl, there were dozens, if not hundreds, of sellers who were suspended. And most of them were selling genuine products, delivering quality products to the customers, and they just got suspended needlessly. So I'm not one to like give up a fight, and I live for David versus Goliath. But if your main income is not coming from NFL products, you may want to think twice about continuing to sell between now and the Super Bowl. If this is your bread and butter, then you really have no choice and keep on selling, and we will help you. But if it's not, you may want to just think about it, because you don't want to needlessly have this account suspended by the NFL or Amazon. And it's just a thought while we're waiting. Charles, you're back on. I see you.
yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I think I lost my internet.
So in the UK, they call things that are kind of shaky, they call it dodgy. I think I'm
dodgy,
dodgy.
yeah.
Dodgy.
Yeah.
So you see
Dodgy,
that
yeah.
dodgy internet service right now. And what I was doing to kill the time is to updating sellers about problems we had last year in the 2 weeks before the playoffs and the Super Bowl, where NFL sellers across the world had their legs cut off. And I was advising sellers that if it's not an integral part of your business, you may want to avoid selling anything with NFL in it until the Super Bowl goes over. So anyway, when we lost you, we were talking about the challenges that new sellers are facing.
Yeah, so I was talking really that from our community, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is making sure that people are sourcing and selling quality products. Because I think from my point of view, that getting that element wrong is the source of a whole raft of problems, or a whole raft of potential problems when it comes to your account. Because obviously, if your product is not good, the feedback is not going to be good, the customer experience is not going to be good, and ultimately that's what can lead to challenges. So this is one area that we're really focusing on. We want to make sure that people are sourcing quality products. I mean, we have recently, just to pick on a specific example, and it'd be great to get your feedback on this, CJ. So we had one recently where one of our partners was sourcing a product from a supplier in China. Everything seemed to check out. She had samples sent over. They were good quality products. But it turned out that when the product was actually shipped to Amazon, her first order, there was it actually took batteries, and there was a problem with the battery compartment on the products that were shipped to Amazon. That's led to a couple of complaints, which has led to Amazon pulling that product altogether. So in that situation, I mean, what would be your advice? What would you say would be the best approach?
Well, let me take it a step back. When you're sourcing products in China or anything else, you've got to either visit the factory yourself or hire someone to do that for you. Because the more face-to-face contact you have with the factory, the better your products are going to be. We have full-time staff in China, and this theory of guanxi, or saving face, is vital to business there. So you need to make the trip. You need to visit the factory and shake hands and show your face if you want to get good products. If you can't do it, hire someone else to do it. There's a professor, Neil, I can't remember his last name right now. I can email it to anyone who wants it. But he has a whole business and a whole method of keeping track of your factories. Now, if you do have this problem, this is one of those things that you really can't hide from Amazon because the customers are going to return the products. So on these, you really need to come up with a real strong plan of action that's going to address how the issues arose and how it's never going to happen again. We're usually successful with these as long as it's not a repeated problem, because everyone has bumps in the road. But you need to, on that particular one, detail what the issue was and how it's never going to happen again. And it could include hiring someone to go to a factory, changing your factory, different design, submitting that design to Amazon, and then also making it simple enough that the people who work for Amazon who are reading it can understand it and understand it quickly. So they're definitely not the death knell of an account, but it's not the easiest one either.
No, I mean, and I think that's it's a really good point that you're raising about action plans, and for me, from my experience of this, it's a case of making sure your communication with Amazon is very clear, and also, again, from my experience, it's you need to make sure that you've got to take ownership of that problem. You've got to take responsibility for it. And again, one of the challenges that I see is, perhaps this is a British thing, I don't know, but we're always a bit defensive. We say, we're trying to, basically not necessarily take the blame for these challenges. But I think that's something that's very, very important to do with, with any business. I mean, you've got to take responsibility for the product you're selling. So that needs to come across in the action plan. And,
yeah, it certainly does. In that action plan, if the factory made a mistake with your design, like in this case with the battery compartment, I would suggest that you would submit those designs with your plan of action and say, this is how it was supposed to be designed. This are the steps that we did to try and assure it was done right. And there still was a mistake. And then this is how we're going to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, and also you were talking about inspection services. I mean, this is something which we, highly recommend people do, because when you're first getting started, obviously going out to, certainly if you're sourcing from China, if you're going out to a factory in China is potentially a big expense. But there are definitely inspection services that can inspect products for you before they're shipped. And this is all the sort of stuff that we teach. And again, one of the great advantages of the network is that, we have partners that use different types of inspection services, and they can feed back which ones do a good job and things like that. So again, it's the power of the network that really shines through.
And we have a question from a listener, Adam, who wants to know if the Platinum Business Partners are you doing private label or arbitrage or some combination or something else? Yeah,
so we're predominantly focusing on the private label model. That's kind of what we're teaching people. But what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to start with Amazon, because that's that's obviously the big player. But we're wanting to build out multiple channels. So we talked about the 5-year commitment to our partners, and maybe the first 12 months might be getting people up and running, selling multiple products, private label. And then rolling out to multiple channels. But one of the things we want to do is we want to actually start looking at things like, retail arbitrage, potentially wholesaling, getting authorization from brands to sell and things like that. So we're wanting to look at the broader e-commerce market, but private label is definitely where our main business is.
Like I tell you, the retail arbitrage, while it's certainly on the way out as a long-term business plan, I think it's still a fantastic way for sellers to get their feet wet, get used to the dashboard, get used to delivering, get used to calculating the fees. You got to watch your fees. You got to make sure that you're making money on products, that Amazon's not eating up all your profit. But it's a great way, and it's a great segue into private label or obtaining distribution rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. How about keeping accounts clean? What does Platinum Business Partners teach about keeping accounts clean?
So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously a super important area. And one of the things we really emphasize on really is two parts. We focus on world-class, if you like, customer service. We want to make sure that we're offering fantastic customer service, great feedback, sort of follow-ups, emails to our customers, and make sure that we're coming across as a genuine, caring business, which is what we are. That's what we're teaching people to do. The other thing is, certainly when you're dealing with Amazon, is keeping on top of all the metrics, making sure that you're responding to messages, promptly, and making sure that those metrics are basically, again, super clean, and you're following what Amazon are wanting you to do. Because the reality of the situation is that there's probably a queue of other sellers out there that are wanting to jump onto Amazon. So Amazon, if we don't play by the rules, if we don't do what they're asking, they will potentially close our accounts down, close our products down, and kick us off. And there's always someone waiting in the wings. So, we need to see selling on Amazon as a privilege rather than a right. That's what we're kind of trying to instill in people, that if you offer good quality products, if you offer fantastic customer service, and you keep on top of your metrics, then not only will you hopefully have a nice clean account and not have any issues, but you also will build a substantial business and a brand which people will like and will come back to and will buy again from, which ultimately is what we're trying to do here.
Well, I want to address something that you said, this privilege versus a right to sell.
Okay.
Not only do we do like countless plans of action and escalations and intellectual property right issues, but we represent sellers all over the world who take Amazon to arbitration when Amazon refuses to treat you fairly, like reinstate you when they should, return money that they've seized from you, whatever the issue. We take them to arbitration. And Amazon has consistently argued that a seller has no right to sell on Amazon.com. However, when you look at their contract really carefully, you'll see that Amazon calls all sellers independent contractors. And when you take that term of art and you compare it to Washington law and also the Federal Arbitration Act, independent contractors have a lot of rights that Amazon tries to deny. So our memo of law that we use argues that it is not a contract at will, that Amazon can't simply kick you off, and that's it. And we have some arbitrators that we're anticipating very favorable decisions. We've resolved a lot of cases in things that were in ways that were good for our clients. So this issue about being a privilege versus a right, that's really for the arbitrator to decide. So each case stands and falls on its own, because when you're at arbitration, it doesn't really set precedent. But I want all sellers out there to know that it is possibly a right to sell. Okay, and Amazon can't simply kick you off and hide the ball and expect you to just go out of business. Okay, so it's arguable, and sellers have have ways of taking the decision making out of Amazon's hands. Hopefully you don't get there.
Yeah.
But if you do end up there, you have remedies.
Yeah, this is why it's great, obviously, to have, someone like yourself who's an expert in this, because I think for me, it's more of I guess I could call it a philosophy statement. So I don't truly believe that, as a third party seller, as you say, that you have no rights. That's not the case at all. I think for me, it's just, if you approach it that we're kind of, our business is, we're kind of playing in the Amazon pond, if you like. We have to play by their rules. We have to play by their kind of game. And if we do that and we do that well, then we can be very successful. But I totally agree that you need to stand up for your rights, and you need to make sure that you're not just rolling over if Amazon do something to your account. So yeah, it's a great point, and thanks for the insights.
Yeah, it was a good segue. We just had this argument on Friday in Seattle at an arbitration, and the initial catfight is always, what can the arbitrator award? And Amazon argues that they can't do anything. And we have great law and great arguments that says the arbitrator can do whatever he thinks is fair, including telling Amazon, reinstate this account. All right, yeah. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to other rights. Let's go into intellectual property rights. What are the issues that Platinum Business Partners sellers are facing with IP issues?
So I guess the challenge that we are seeing here is making sure that that you're not infringing on obviously someone else's IP. Now, we teach people how to check and make sure that certainly when they're setting up a brand and they're setting up a company, how to make sure that they're not infringing on the brand name, is not infringing on anyone's rights. When it comes to actual intellectual property or patents on the products themselves, that area is a little bit it's a little bit more tricky to understand. Now, there are services out there. You can search the USPTO if you're selling in the US. There's an equivalent site, which I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment, in the UK and for European countries. But it'd be really interesting just to get your take on that, CJ, as to what you think people should do, or what our kind of partners can do to try and mitigate this issue and make sure they don't run into it down the line.
Sure. Our whole theory is trying to avoid problems first. So I always try and circle back about how to avoid it and then teach sellers how to address it when it comes up. Okay, first, to avoid it, before you jump into a product, check the USPTO.gov. Check that website. For the older sellers, this is a website right out of 1996. Okay, do the search, spend the time. If you can't figure it out, we do it for under $1,000 per product, and take a look to see, are you going to infringe on someone's rights? And if you are, stay away. And if you're not, make an educated decision about getting into the product. Also, you check like seminars like this and webinars like this. Go to the Platinum Business Partner Momentum Day, go to the other seller events, check the forums, and see if other sellers are having problems. And if they're having problems, you may want to stay away from it. On the flip side, people made millions and millions of dollars selling fidget spinners, and they all violated one person's IP rights. But they made a lot of money before they got shut down. So make your business decision based upon knowledge. Just don't jump in blind. Now, if you do end up with an IP issue, the first thing you need to do is to try and get whoever made the complaint, try and get them to retract it. That's the number one thing. You don't have to obtain the retraction or retain the withdrawal, but you have to ask for it. And whether you're successful or not, then you go back to Amazon. And then Amazon, more likely than not, will reinstate your privileges, either whether your complaint is withdrawn or you stop selling it, or you've shown Amazon with a legal opinion letter that there never was a violation to begin with. Okay? like a design patent claim, as long as you change that product a bit, you're probably not violating. If you're selling a genuine product in the US, you're probably not violating anybody's rights. You don't need anybody's permission to sell genuine products. The UK, the law is a bit different, where authorization to sell is part of the IP law, but not here in the US. So those are the basic ways. Avoid it. If you get it, try and get the complaint withdrawn and then address Amazon. If you end up, or you're a large seller and you've had dozens of IP complaints, what you want to do then is to start getting withdrawals. And then once you have 5, 10, 15% of the complaints withdrawn, then go to Amazon and submit a plan of action. Okay, we've got a question from a listener. I'm going to post it. It's kind of long. I'm not sure it's going to show up. I'm sorry, Charles. It's blocking your face a bit.
That's okay. Right. That's probably a good thing.
All right, Jared, let's see. Third-party sellers are copying your products. Okay, let me take that down again. Okay, now every single seller is always at risk of really two major competitors when you're doing a private label. One is your own factory and one is Amazon. When it comes to your own factory, Guanxi will protect you tremendously from that factory kind of screwing you over. It's not 100%, but it helps a lot. When it comes to Amazon, if they can trace where your products are coming from, they can go directly and purchase those products. And there's now a growing business in Asia where private label sellers are having their factory ship their products to a black box warehouse. And then from the black box warehouse, then it goes to FBA. So that Amazon can't trace where it's coming from and go behind your back and get your products. We've also heard several instances where Amazon approaches a seller and wants you to sell to Amazon, to be an Amazon vendor, and overtly threatening them if they say no. So stand tall. If you don't want to sell to Amazon, don't sell to Amazon. If they start competing with you, you can change your warranty. You can change add-ons with the products. You can change your packaging and be able to pivot quickly so that even Amazon can't deliver the same product to the customer. And those are effective methods of getting Amazon off your listing. You know, they're a little like super hijacker, not the regular hijacker, a super hijacker. But there are ways of getting them off.
I don't think I've ever heard Amazon being called a super hijacker before, but I like that. That's good.
I may deny saying it.
Yeah. I didn't hear anything.
All right. Okay.
Just can I ask a quick question on that? You were talking about being able to kind of be agile and change the product. I mean, one of the things that we generally recommend to people is try and offer something unique, not necessarily related to, not necessarily with your product, but could be related to it. So, it might be supporting material or, something like that. In your opinion, is that a good idea? Does that help in this situation?
It's a great idea, and you're going to put that part of our business out of business.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So, yes, you need to make it unique, and it could be unique by the product itself. It could be something you add on to it, something physical, or it could be a service or a license. One of the things that we've added on to several products is a license that if you buy the product from an authorized seller, meaning you, okay, you also get the ability to log on to a website or the ability to register for a newsletter. And that's an add-on that Amazon or any other hijacker can't do. They can't match that. You could change your warranty. Wusthof Cutlery, which is a really high-end knives, their warranty says that if something goes wrong with their knife, you send it back to them. They send it back to their factory in Germany and fix it. Nobody else can do that. It's a very effective warranty. Other things that are effective are that if you will participate in any recalls, that you're going to keep these buyers updated with certain materials. And depending on the product, we have a whole list of things we can run through to see what fits best for you as a seller or you as a product, and what's easy to deploy. So that's a lot of different ways to stop Amazon and other hijackers. We're getting some compliments. This isn't really a question, but I like it. This is well cool.
This is well
Thank
cool.
you very much. Okay. We've covered training sessions, keeping the accounts clean, sourcing, IP issues. Is there anything particular you think that Platinum Business Partners sellers need to know right now?
I think one of the other subjects which I think we briefly, I mentioned it, I don't know whether we've touched on it, is the whole review manipulation. Now, I know this is, I'm trying to remember exactly when Amazon changed the rules. It's probably a little over a year ago, isn't it? They changed the rules.
Yeah, about 14 months.
14 months, yeah. So it's been a while, but I think there's still a little bit of confusion about what you can and can't do. So one of the most common questions that we hear is can you ask for reviews? And then a kind of flip side of that is, can we offer discounted products? Because obviously prior to the change, we were all pretty familiar with the process of offering discounted products and asking for the reviews. Now, in my simplistic world, I basically say, yes, you can do both, but not at the same time. Now, it'd be interesting to get your take on that, and whether that's an accurate statement or how you would really address this.
Well, on a general note, we're advising people just to stay away from it. I think you're still allowed to ask for a review, but then you're getting stuck with the good and the bad. What you can't do is have the clicks lead different places. Like, you can't say, for a great review, click here, and that goes to Amazon. And if it's not a great one, it goes to like your private website or the rubbish. You can't do that. Offering discounts for products is a big mistake right now. Also, we've seen a ton of suspensions where people use different launching devices. And I think that right now, until the heat is off a bit more, you just need to let it go organically. Also, Amazon has these soft connections. So if you're getting reviews from your Facebook friends, right, that's a bad idea. Because just like we can develop scraping software programs, so can Amazon. And there was a guy named Ed Rosenbaum in Brooklyn, New York, who talked about soft connections for related accounts. And I believe they're doing the same thing for review manipulation. So if your buyers who are leaving reviews are your Facebook friends, it's not a good idea. Also, I'm a bit restrained because I have a ton of information that I've obtained by cross-examining Amazon's witnesses at arbitrations. But all the arbitrations are confidential. So it's like a left side of my brain, right side of my brain thing. But I can tell you, stay away, let it grow organically. It's certainly going to be slower, but it's safer for the long haul. And if you're looking at Platinum Business Partners, you're in this business for the long haul. You have a 5-year plan. So I would tread very softly when it comes to review manipulation. In terms of getting those accounts back, we have a very, very high success rate, but it's not an easy one. You're talking about being down for like a week, 2 weeks. So I tread very softly about getting reviews. Okay.
So I think, patience, I think, is the order of the day, isn't it? Is, as you say, let it build organically. Because we are, as I say, at Platinum, we are offering a long-term package. We're here to help for the long term. So, we don't need to rush this. Let's build a solid business without, infringing on anything, really, is ultimately where we want to get to.
If you're looking at a long term, 100% agree.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a quick question, actually, about, so Amazon have started offering coupons recently. What's your take on that? I mean, because that ultimately, I guess it's just a discount for people that come and buy your product. So if you were offering a coupon and let's say you had an email sequence, follow-up email sequence, and there was a request for a review in that, is that something that should be avoided?
I got to tell you, I don't know the answer to that. We are really great at dealing with plans of action, intellectual property issues. brand protection, but I don't know what you can or can't put on a coupon. I know I will hear about it when it goes poorly.
Right. Okay.
And I don't pretend to know everything. We're really great in our small part of the river in our niche, but I don't know the answer to that. And if anyone wants to post a comment live, who might know something about it, I'd be happy to show it. But I don't know what you can or can't point on a coupon.
Okay. Interesting.
And what is the website for Platinum Business Partners?
So the website for Platinum Business Partners is platinumbusinesspartners.co.uk.
Hold on, I'll make a type here. Platinum
businesspartners.co.uk. I'm just double checking that myself, make sure I've got that right.
I screwed up. I had a typo. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Platinum Business Partners.co.uk.
Yeah, that's the one.
Check out this website. This is a fantastic organization. I love that they look in the long term. They want to work with you for years, take you from a beginner to an advanced, let you participate in a community to help you with all the aspects of selling on Amazon. And it's just a great organization. If you're going to be in the UK, the next Momentum Day is March 22nd, 2018. I'll be speaking there. It's about 40 minutes outside of London. It's easy to get to. It's English speaking. You get a whole different perspective in a different market. So for US sellers, it's a great way to become international. Really, really great and a great company. Also, I'd want to just pump a couple of events that are coming up. You have Just One Dime and Prosper in Las Vegas, also in March. Fantastic events. Global Sources in Hong Kong in April. Retail Global in Australia in May. And if you are selling and you want international perspective and you want to learn from people around the world, these are the events to hit. Charles, is there anything else you want to tell our listeners?
Just check my list here. No, I don't think so. No, I think really, from my point of view, as I say, I just want to emphasize, and you've talked about the Momentum Day. If anybody is over in the UK and they're wanting to come along, I mean, the Momentum Day is something that we could try and arrange to get someone to get people to come along to. But if you want to come and check us out, we've got a head office down on the south coast of the UK, about an hour or so from London. You can come and meet us anytime, come and talk to us, and we'll be more than happy to share our experience of the UK market, the European market. So yeah, it'd be great to see people if you're taking a trip to the UK. Stop by, say hello. It's always nice to meet people.
Hey, I was going to tell you what a great job you did, but I think Sue said it much better.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Sue. Yeah. Sue's a friend of mine. Yeah. So thanks, Sue. Glad you liked it. So.
Thank you very much for appearing. I can't wait to be there in March. And again, check it out. platinumbusinesspartners.co.uk. One more thing. Amazon Smiles. If you're purchasing, you're buying on Amazon, choose a charity. Please choose the Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. They raise money for research into pediatric cancers. And it costs you nothing extra as a buyer. Absolutely nothing. And they donate money to the charity. So Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. And it's tylewiscampbellfoundation.org. So, all right, Charles, thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, great. Thanks, CJ. Appreciate it. Appreciate coming on.